All right, hi, welcome to one of our first video blogs for JoeMartino.com. I'm excited to have Amelia Rhodes with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm glad you could make it. We're going to talk about her book today and continue with our artist series. One of the things that I've mentioned before in my writing is that I am blessed to be in a community that has a lot of artists. And hopefully we can bring some awareness to them and to their product. I'd like to take two tracks today. First of all, talk a little bit about the publishing process for you.
Sure.
I know that you went to a writers' conference and began, going after a book. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the process from, hey, there's a book in here, to there's a book here?
Sure, right. It's a big process. I'd always thought someday I'd write a book. That typical, oh, there's a book in me, I don't know what the topic would be.
Sure.
But 2 years ago, I decided to start taking writing seriously after blogging for a variety of years. And went to the Festival of Faith and Writing at Calvin College.
Okay.
And I met Susie, who's a good friend of mine, and we started traveling down this path together of being writers and authors. And it was through that I started making connections and got the courage to start submitting to places, and actually had a piece in a Chicken Soup for the Soul book, which was a big victory, and started blogging for a couple of other places. And it's really about making the connections, doing the work, and part of that is making connections by going to conferences and getting to know authors and editors and publishers.
Sure.
And so my connection then came through blogging for an organization called Circle of Friends. And a publisher had come to them and asked them if they would start doing a series of books for women that could be used in small groups and book clubs. And so after I had written for them for about a year and a half, they had a list of titles and topics and said, do any of these sound interesting, and would you like to write a book for us? It's like, of course.
Cool. Yeah. Now, how did you pick this topic as opposed to the other ones on the list? Or are there other ones on the list?
There were other ones on the list, and this one just stood out to me because the topic of doing life together in community is something that I've lived and is very dear to me. And my husband and I, we moved to Florida, and it was about 6.5 years ago. And we moved into a town, and we didn't know anybody, didn't have any family local, and went to this church, and the very first week there met several couples, and they journeyed with us through the years that we were there, and we were in a small group together. But it became much more than just a small group that met together. We really did life together, and most of us didn't have family local, and so as we had kids and journeyed through illnesses and job losses, it became this support network for our lives together.
Cool. Now, are you and your husband both originally from Michigan?
No, I'm originally from Ohio, and he's from Michigan.
Okay.
And we had lived here after we graduated from Cornerstone, and then moved to Florida because we were young and wanted adventure.
There you go.
And we got it.
Well, in Florida and Michigan, those are pretty similar climates and whatnot.
Right. And then we came back, which is totally
right.
Totally
because
backwards.
of the thriving economy, no doubt.
Right.
Now, the book is called Isn't It Time for a Coffee Break? I think, which is something that, as our society, the third place, if you will, has become a very important part of the fabric of our society. In fact, that's how we met.
It is.
At a coffee shop.
Yeah, I was writing. Actually, I was writing the book at the time.
That's right. And you had the iPad, right?
I did.
That's right. How do you, you talk about moving into a new community and this idea of doing life together. My wife and I have moved many times, and one of the things that's always struck me about that sentence, doing life together, this will be like family, is there's a lot of families that really have issues. So how do you navigate those? Is that part of the book, or is that just, how do you navigate those issues? Because family, we don't always like each other.
Right.
I don't know
that I necessarily describe it like family, but I do talk about the various levels of doing life together. There will be the life you do with your general community, where you don't just walk through the grocery store with your head buried in your list or in your phone, but you be an active participant and aware of the people around you and engage in the casual conversation. Then to those where you get a little bit below the surface and you start to get to know each other. Maybe you meet at a coffee shop, or you start to talk about maybe general interests and things. And then there's the level of what I call the strong friendships, the really below the surface, where you go deeper in knowing each other and the problems and the things you struggle with and the victories, and pushing each other and encouraging each other to be more like what we find in the Bible, the type of relationships of spurring each other on to do more and be greater in your community and in your love for God. So there's a variety of levels of doing life together.
Cool. Now, the book, what is your favorite part of the book? I imagine, this is kind of like your child.
Sure.
And there's, I love this part and that part there. Well, that's the dad's genes or whatever.
Right. I think one of my favorite chapters is the chapter on generosity and how I talk, well, there's a couple. That's one of them. And I talk about how it's more than just giving money, but giving of your time and of your talents. And I also spend a good amount of time on listening and being aware of people. And so oftentimes people will say, oh, I don't know what I'm good at or what I'm gifted at, or I don't have anything to offer. And I'm like, you have your time. You have your attention. And in today's society, people so rarely pay attention to each other and the people around them. And that's something that I try to encourage people. If you don't know what else you can do for your community, pay attention and be aware.
Yeah, one of the things we say around here a lot is everybody wants to be heard.
Right.
And very few people actually are.
Right, and very few people are willing to actually listen.
Right, yeah,
so
for sure.
That was one of my favorite things.
Good deal. Now the book's called, Isn't It About Time for a Coffee Break?
Isn't It Time for a Coffee Break? And the subtitle is Doing Life Together in an All About Me Kind of World. Okay,
and it is certainly an all about me kind of world. What's the process been like now? I know it's ready. It's at the publisher. It's coming out very soon.
Sure,
just a couple weeks.
January 1st.
January 1st release date, so a great New Year's gift.
Yes.
What's that process like, just waiting as the author?
Waiting. It's such a long process. They had the idea back in October of last year.
Okay.
So it was a couple months of discussing and then contract and then 5-6 months of fast writing. So I turned it in April, and then from April till October, it's just waiting while it goes through the rounds of edits. And every now and then I'd send an email, is everything okay? Do you need anything? And they're like, no, it's great.
Sure.
So from April to October, it was like total darkness, silence. And
Good deal.
And then I got to see the final product.
Right.
The final proof, and then again, waiting until January. So it takes a lot of patience, I think, to publish a book. But as we get closer and closer, I find myself getting more excited and more nervous, and start doing interviews and then asking people to blog about it. So it's a lot of work, and it's various kinds of work.
Sure.
So when you write a book, it has to be something, and I think Cecil Murphy said this, a topic that you know you can talk about and pour yourself into for a couple years and not get sick of it.
Right. Good deal. Now, is there more books coming?
I think so. The question is, which one? And what's the next viable idea that people might be interested in and would be beneficial? So sure, I'm not sure what though.
Okay. Now, is the book print and ebook, or is it? Okay.
It's available print and ebook, and you should be able to find it in like your local Christian bookstores. Okay. Or on Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
All right. Now, what about somebody who may be searching? They're spiritual. They're not necessarily would consider themselves religious. They don't necessarily go to church. Is this a book that would fit them, or is this?
We designed it to be short chapters, easy to read, lighthearted. There is a lot of discussion about the Bible and what the Bible has to say, but I would say it's a good bridge. If you're seeking, you're interested, but you're not really sure, it's sort of this conversation to maybe be a springboard.
Great.
If you wanted to talk about it more, think about it more.
Excellent. Now, if someone wants to find you on the web, it's www.ameliarhodes.com.
Yes, and Rhodes is R-H-O-D-E-S.
R-H-O-D-E-S. That's right. I always want to add an A to it.
Everybody does. Or Rose.
Like no, I remember the D. It's a D. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it. Thanks. And if you want to pick this up, you can get it at your local bookstore, local Christian bookstore, Amazon.com, which is where I do all my publishing. In fact, if you look to the right of this video, if you're on my webpage, there is an Amazon link there. You can click on that, and that will take you directly to Amazon, and anything you purchase there, I will get a small commission on, and the price will still be a low price for you with no effect. So thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.